The Slack message came through at 7:43 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in March. At Channel, mandatory all-hands meeting, today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Attendance required, no exceptions. I stared at my laptop screen, coffee mug halfway to my lips, feeling that familiar knot of dread forming in my stomach. Mandatory meetings were never good news, especially ones announced with less than 3 hours' notice. Especially ones that said no exceptions in bold text. I was sitting at my home office desk in Austin, Texas, a desk I'd set up 3 years ago when the pandemic hit, a desk where I'd been working productively ever since. A desk I'd invested in, ergonomic chair, dual monitors, proper lighting, noise-canceling headphones, a standing desk converter. A space I'd created specifically for the work I loved. My name is Maya Patel. I'm 34 years old, and until 4 months ago, I was a senior software engineer at Velocity Tech Solutions, a mid-sized software company based in San Francisco that specialized in enterprise resource planning systems. I'd been with Velocity for 6 years. I'd started as a junior developer right out of grad school and worked my way up through pure competence, late nights debugging critical systems, mentoring junior developers, leading successful projects that came in under budget and ahead of schedule. I wasn't alone in my anxiety. Within minutes, our private Slack channel, the one that wasn't monitored by management, the one we'd created for actual honest communication, started lighting up. Priya, anyone know what this is about? Jessica, nothing good. Last time we had a mandatory all hands with this kind of notice, they announced the hiring freeze. Keisha, my manager won't tell me anything. Says she found out this morning too. Devin, $10 says it's about the new VP. Me, what new VP? Devin, you didn't hear? Bradley Sutton, CEO's son. Started last week. Been in orientation meetings all week. I felt my stomach drop. CEO's son. Those 3 words carried so much weight, so much implication. I'd been in tech long enough to know what happened when family members got executive positions they hadn't earned. I'd watched it destroy 2 previous companies I'd worked for. Me, please tell me he has actual experience. Devin, define experience. He's got an MBA from some private school in Connecticut. Worked at his dad's previous company for 2 years in business development. Before that, he was a consultant for 3 years, which I'm pretty sure means he traveled around Europe on daddy's money. Keisha, oh God. We're doomed. Priya, let's not panic. Maybe he's confident. Maybe he earned the position. Jessica, Priya, I love your optimism, but come on. CEO's son gets VP position at 29 years old? That's not merit. That's nepotism. Me, what's he VP of? Devin, engineering and product development. The coffee mug slipped from my hand. I caught it before it spilled, but barely. Engineering and product development. That was our entire division. That was 47 people across 4 teams, back-end engineering, front-end engineering, QA, and DevOps. That was the core of the entire company. And they'd just put the CEO's 29-year-old son in charge of it. The video call started at exactly 10 a.m. 47 little squares filled my screen, the faces of my colleagues, my friends, the people I'd worked alongside for years. Some were in home offices like me. Some were at kitchen tables. Some were clearly sitting in bedrooms or living rooms, working from wherever they'd set up when we went remote in March 2020. We'd been remote for 3 years. 3 productive, successful years. Our team had shipped 4 major product releases during that time. We'd reduced our bug count by 63%. We'd improved our deployment frequency from monthly to weekly. We'd increased our customer satisfaction scores from 3.2 to 4.6 out of 5. We'd done all of this while working from home, across 4 time zones, with people in California, Texas, Colorado, New York, and even 2 developers in Portugal. The remote work model had been a massive success. It had allowed us to hire the best talent regardless of location. It had reduced overhead costs. Velocity had downsized from a massive San Francisco office to a small executive suite, saving over $400,000 annually in rent alone. It had improved work-life balance, reduced burnout, increased retention. But most importantly, it had worked. The metrics proved it. The results proved it. Richard Sutton appeared on screen first. CEO and founder of Velocity Tech Solutions. Age 61. Silver hair, expensive suit, the kind of practice smile that came from decades of board meetings and investor pitches. He'd founded Velocity 15 years ago after selling his previous company for $200 million. He was smart, driven, and ruthless when he needed to be. But he was also a father. And that, as it turned out, was going to be a problem. "Good morning, everyone," Richard said, his voice booming through my headphones. "Thank you all for joining on short notice. I have some exciting news to share about the future direction of Velocity Tech Solutions." Exciting news. In corporate speak, that could mean anything from "we're giving everyone raises" to "we're shutting down the company." Usually, it meant something in between, something that management thought was exciting, but employees would find deeply concerning. As many of you know, we've been evaluating our organizational structure to position ourselves for the next phase of growth. After careful consideration, I'm pleased to announce that Bradley Sutton will be joining our leadership team as Vice President of Engineering and Product Development. A new square appeared on the screen. Bradley Sutton. Younger than I expected, he looked about 25, though I knew he was 29. Styled blonde hair, expensive casual clothes, the kind of casual that cost $500 per outfit. Sitting in what looked like a high-rise apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the San Francisco Bay. He was smiling, confident, relaxed. The smile of someone who'd never had to worry about job security, never had to prove himself, never had to wonder if he was good enough. "Thanks, Dad, Richard." Nervous laughter from a few people. Bradley's smile widened, like the slip-up was charming instead of revealing. "I'm really excited to be here. I've been watching Velocity from the outside for years, and I've seen so much potential for growth and optimization. I'm looking forward to bringing fresh perspectives and innovative strategies to take us to the next level." Fresh perspectives. Innovative strategies. Take us to the next level. The same corporate buzzword bingo I'd heard 100 times before. The same meaningless phrases that meant nothing and promised everything. Bradley brings a wealth of experience from his time in business development and consulting, Richard continued. He has a deep understanding of operational efficiency and organizational optimization. He's going to help us scale our engineering operations and position Velocity for our next phase of growth. I glanced at the other faces on the screen. My colleagues looked confused, concerned, skeptical. Priya was frowning. Jessica had her camera off, probably rolling her eyes. Keisha looked like she was taking notes, her expression carefully neutral. "Now, Bradley has some important updates to share about how we'll be structuring our operations going forward," Richard said. "Bradley?" Bradley leaned forward, his expression shifting to something more serious. Practiced. Like he'd rehearsed this in front of a mirror. "Thanks, Richard. So, I've spent the past week reviewing our operational metrics, team structures, and productivity data. And I've identified some areas where we can significantly improve our efficiency and collaboration." Here it comes, I thought. Whatever he's about to say, it's going to be bad. One of the biggest challenges I've observed is the lack of cohesion and real-time collaboration that comes from remote work. While I understand that remote work has been the norm for the past 3 years, I believe we've reached a point where it's actually hindering our growth potential. My heart started pounding. No, he's not going to. Effective April 15th, that's 3 weeks from today, all engineering and product development team members will be required to return to the office full-time, 5 days a week. We'll be reopening our San Francisco headquarters and establishing a proper collaborative workspace where we can work together, innovate together, and build the future of Velocity together. Silence. Dead, heavy silence. 47 people, and not a single sound. Then the chat exploded. "Priya, what?" "Jessica, you've got to be kidding me." "Keisha, I live in Austin." "The office is in San Francisco." "Devin, I moved to Colorado specifically because we were remote." "Sarah, I have 2 kids in school here. I can't just move to SF." "Miguel, San Francisco rent is $3,500 for a 1-bedroom. I can't afford that." "Rachel, this is insane." Bradley was still talking, oblivious to the chat explosion happening in the sidebar. I know this is a big change, and I know some of you have built lives around remote work. But I truly believe this is what's best for the company and for your careers. There's something irreplaceable about in-person collaboration, the spontaneous conversations, the whiteboard sessions, the team lunches, the culture building. You can't replicate that over Zoom. For those of you who need to relocate, Richard added, we'll be offering a relocation assistance package of $5,000 to help with moving costs. And we're confident that the opportunities for growth and advancement that come from being in the office will far outweigh any short-term inconveniences. $5,000. To move to San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities in America, where the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment was $3,500 per month, where you needed to make at least $150,000 just to live comfortably. They were offering $5,000 to uproot our entire lives. I understand some of you may have questions or concerns, Bradley continued. My door is always open. Well, it will be once we're all back in the office. He laughed at his own joke. No one else did. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you in person and building something amazing together. The call ended. 47 squares disappeared. I sat alone in my home office, staring at a blank screen, feeling like the floor had just dropped out from under me. Then my phone started ringing. Text messages flooding in. Our private Slack channel going absolutely nuclear. Jessica, emergency meeting. Our channel. Now. Within 5 minutes, 23 of us were on a private video call. Not the full 47-person team, just the senior engineers, the team leads, the people who'd been at Velocity long enough to have perspective and influence. This is bullshit, Jessica said immediately. She was in New York, sitting in her apartment with her cat visible in the background. Complete, absolute bullshit. We've been remote for 3 years. 3 years. We've been more productive than ever. We've shipped better products faster with fewer bugs. And now some nepotism hire who's been here for a week wants to force us all back to the office to justify his existence. It's not about productivity, Priya said. She was in her home office in Austin, looking exhausted. It's about control. He wants to see us. He wants to manage us in person because he doesn't know how to manage remotely. He doesn't trust us. He doesn't know anything about us, Keisha added. She was in Denver, sitting at her kitchen table. He's been here for a week. He hasn't talked to any of us individually. He hasn't asked about our workflows, our processes, our challenges. He just looked at some metrics and decided we need to be in an office. Did anyone else notice he said, I've identified areas for improvement? Devin said. She was in Portland, looking furious. Not, we've identified or the team has identified. Like he's some genius consultant who figured out in 1 week what we've been doing wrong for 3 years. He's 29 years old, Sarah said quietly. She was in Austin too, and I could see her kids' toys in the background. He's never managed a team this size. He's never shipped a product. He's never worked in engineering. And he thinks he knows better than all of us combined. Because he's the CEO's son, Miguel said. That's the only reason he has this job. That's the only reason anyone is listening to him. So what do we do? Rachel asked. She was in San Francisco, one of the few people who actually lived near the office. Do we just accept this? Move to San Francisco or quit? I can't move to San Francisco, Keisha said. My partner has a job here. My kids are in school here. My entire life is here. And even if I wanted to move, I can't afford it. I'd need a 40% raise just to maintain my current standard of living. Same, said at least 5 other people simultaneously. I'm not moving, Jessica said flatly. I moved to New York specifically because Velocity went remote. I bought an apartment here. My wife has a job here. I'm not uprooting my entire life because some kid wants to play executive. So we quit. Priya asked. Silence. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. If we quit, we lose our severance, Devin said. We lose our unemployment eligibility. We lose our health insurance immediately. And we'd all be job hunting at the same time, competing with each other. If we don't quit, we have 3 weeks to either move to San Francisco or get fired for not showing up, Sarah countered. There's a third option, I said quietly. Everyone looked at me. We negotiate. We push back. We present the data showing that remote work has been successful. We make the case that forcing everyone back to the office will destroy productivity, tank morale, and cause massive attrition. We give them a chance to reverse this decision. You think they'll listen? Jessica asked skeptically. I think we have to try. Because if we don't, we're just accepting that our careers, our lives, our families don't matter. That the only thing that matters is Bradley Sutton's ego. Okay, Priya said. Let's try. Let's put together a presentation. Data, metrics, case studies, everything. We'll request a meeting with Richard and Bradley and make our case. And if they say no? Keisha asked. Then we quit, I said. All of us. Same day, same time. We coordinate a mass resignation that makes it impossible for them to ignore the consequences of this decision. That's nuclear, Devin said. So is forcing 47 people to uproot their lives with 3 weeks' notice, I replied. We spent the next 3 days building our case. We compiled every metric we could find: productivity data, deployment frequency, bug rates, customer satisfaction scores, employee retention rates, cost savings from reduced office space. We gathered case studies from other tech companies that had gone fully remote and seen success. We created a comprehensive presentation showing that remote work wasn't just working, it was working better than the old in-office model ever had. We also did something else. Something more important. We started talking to each other about what we'd do if the negotiation failed. We started coordinating. We started planning. Priya created a shared document, encrypted, stored on a personal server, not on any Velocity system. A simple document with a simple purpose, a list of names and a checkbox next to each name. The question at the top was clear. If Velocity refuses to reverse the RTO mandate, will you resign in protest? Within 24 hours, 38 out of 47 people had checked the box. 38 people willing to quit. 38 people who valued their lives, their families, their autonomy more than they valued a job at a company that didn't value them. We scheduled a meeting with Richard and Bradley for Friday afternoon. Engineering leadership discussion was what we called it. Priya, Jessica, Keisha, Devin, and I would represent the team. We'd present our case calmly, professionally, with data and evidence. We'd give them every opportunity to make the right decision. The meeting started at 2 p.m. on Friday. The 5 of us on one side of the video call, Richard and Bradley on the other. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us, Priya began. She was our most diplomatic team member, the one who could deliver hard truths without sounding confrontational. We wanted to discuss the return to office mandate and share some concerns from the engineering team. Of course, Richard said. We're always open to feedback. Priya shared her screen. The presentation appeared clean, professional, data-driven. Over the past 3 years of remote work, our team has achieved significant improvements across every major metric. Our deployment frequency has increased from monthly to weekly. Our bug count has decreased by 63%. Our customer satisfaction scores have improved from 3.2 to 4.6 out of 5. Our employee retention rate is 94%, compared to an industry average of 68%. She clicked to the next slide. Remote work has also generated significant cost savings for Velocity. By reducing our office footprint, we've saved approximately $400,000 annually in rent and facilities costs. We've been able to hire top talent from across the country and internationally without geographic restrictions. This has allowed us to build a stronger, more diverse team than we could have if we were limited to the San Francisco Bay Area. Next slide. We've also surveyed the team about the RTO mandate. Of the 47 people in engineering and product development, 41 people would need to relocate to comply with the mandate. Of those 41 people, 38 have indicated that they cannot or will not relocate due to family obligations, financial constraints, or personal circumstances. Bradley leaned forward, his expression skeptical. With all due respect, I think those numbers reflect resistance to change rather than actual inability to relocate. People always resist change initially, but once they experience the benefits of in-person collaboration, they'll understand why this is necessary. Bradley, Jessica said, her voice carefully controlled. "I'm not resisting change. I'm resisting being forced to uproot my entire life, my apartment, my wife's job, my community, to move to one of the most expensive cities in America with only $5,000 in relocation assistance. That's not resistance to change. That's basic financial reality." "I understand it's a difficult transition," Bradley said. "But sometimes we have to make sacrifices for our careers. I moved to San Francisco for this opportunity. It required sacrifice, but it was worth it." "You moved from where?" Keisha asked. "Connecticut. I was living in Greenwich." "And your father is the CEO of the company you moved to work for," Keisha said flatly. "That's not the same as what you're asking us to do." Bradley's face flushed. "My relationship to Richard doesn't change the fact that in-person collaboration is more effective than remote work. There's decades of research showing that face-to-face communication builds stronger teams, generates more innovation, and creates better culture. There's also recent research showing that remote work increases productivity, improves work-life balance, and reduces burnout," I said. "Especially in knowledge work like software engineering. We're not manufacturing widgets. We're writing code. That doesn't require physical proximity. It requires collaboration," Bradley insisted. "Real collaboration. Not just Slack messages and Zoom calls. Spontaneous conversations. Whiteboard sessions. Team lunches. The kind of organic interaction that builds trust and generates creative solutions." "We have all of that," Priya said. "We have daily stand-ups. We have pair programming sessions. We have virtual whiteboarding tools. We have team social events, virtual game nights, coffee chats, online happy hours. We've built a strong, collaborative culture without being in the same physical space." "It's not the same," Bradley said. "And frankly, I'm concerned that 3 years of remote work has made this team too comfortable, too complacent. You've lost the hunger, the drive, the competitive edge that comes from being in a high-energy office environment." The words hung in the air. Too comfortable. Too complacent. Lost the hunger. "Let me make sure I understand," Jessica said slowly. "You're saying that a team that has increased deployment frequency by 400%, reduced bugs by 63%, and improved customer satisfaction by 44% has lost its competitive edge?" "I'm saying that you could be doing even better if you were in the office," Bradley said. "Based on what evidence?" I asked. "Based on my experience in business development and organizational management." "You've been here for a week," Keisha said. "You haven't managed this team. You haven't shipped a product with this team. You haven't even had one-on-one conversations with most of us. How can you possibly know what we need better than we know ourselves?" Bradley's face was fully red now. "Because I have an outside perspective. Because I can see things you can't see when you're too close to the situation. And because, frankly, I'm your VP. This is my decision to make." Richard cleared his throat. "I think what Bradley is trying to say is that we believe this change will position Velocity for long-term success. We understand it's difficult, but we're confident it's the right move. Even if it means losing 80% of your engineering team?" Priya asked quietly. Silence. "What do you mean?" Richard asked. "We surveyed the team," Priya said. 38 out of 47 people have indicated they will resign rather than relocate to San Francisco. If you proceed with this mandate, you'll lose 80% of your engineering capacity within 3 weeks. "That's a bluff," Bradley said immediately. "It's not," I said. "We're not trying to threaten you. We're trying to give you accurate information so you can make an informed decision. If you force this RTO mandate, you will lose most of your engineering team." "That's not a threat. That's a fact." "Then we'll hire new people," Bradley said. "People who want to be in the office. People who are hungry and driven and willing to do what it takes to succeed." "You'll hire 38 senior engineers in 3 weeks?" Jessica asked incredulously. "In San Francisco, where the competition for talent is brutal and the cost of living is astronomical. Good luck with that." "This meeting is over," Bradley said abruptly. "I appreciate your feedback, but the decision has been made. Return to office is happening. April 15th. If people choose not to comply, that's their choice. But we're moving forward." The call ended. The 5 of us sat in stunned silence. "Well," Devin said finally, "I guess we're doing this." That night, Priya sent a message to our private channel, "Emergency all hands. Tomorrow, Saturday, 10 a.m. Everyone who's willing to participate in coordinated resignation. 38 people showed up to that call. 38 people who decided that their lives, their families, their autonomy mattered more than a job at a company that didn't value them. Here's the plan, Priya said. April 15th is the first day we're supposed to be back in the office. That's 3 weeks from now. We're going to use those 3 weeks to prepare. We're going to document everything, every process, every system, every piece of institutional knowledge. We're going to make sure nothing is left undocumented. Not because we owe them anything, but because we're professionals. Then, on April 15th at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, we all submit our resignation letters simultaneously. Same time, same message. We make it clear that we're resigning in protest of the RTO mandate and the leadership decisions that led to it. What about the people who aren't resigning? Someone asked. The 9 people who are staying? We tell them, I said. We're honest with them. We give them the choice to join us or not. But we don't pressure them. Everyone makes their own decision. What about our projects? Sarah asked. We're in the middle of 3 major releases. We document everything, Priya repeated. We make sure every project is in a state where someone else could pick it up. We're not sabotaging anything. We're just leaving. This is going to destroy the company, someone said quietly. No, Jessica said. Bradley destroyed the company. We're just making the consequences visible. The next 3 weeks were surreal. We showed up to our daily stand-ups, our sprint planning meetings, our code reviews, all while knowing that we were counting down to our last day. We documented everything obsessively. Every process, every system, every quirk of the codebase. We created comprehensive handoff documents for every project. We recorded video tutorials for complex systems. We wrote detailed README files for every repository. We also started job hunting. Quietly, discreetly. We updated our LinkedIn profiles. We reached out to recruiters. We leveraged our networks. And we discovered something interesting. The market for experienced remote software engineers was incredibly strong. Companies that had embraced remote work were desperate for talent. Within a week, most of us had multiple interviews scheduled. Within 2 weeks, several people had offers. Bradley, meanwhile, seemed oblivious to what was coming. He spent those 3 weeks planning the new office culture. He sent excited emails about the furniture he was ordering, the snacks he was stocking in the kitchen, the team-building activities he was planning. He created a Slack channel called #BackToTheOffice, where he posted photos of the renovated office space, standing desks, ergonomic chairs, a ping-pong table, a fully stocked kitchen. Can't wait to see you all here in person, he wrote. It's going to be amazing. 23 people reacted to that message with a thumbs-up emoji. All 23 were people who were planning to resign. It was our private joke, our small act of rebellion. On April 12th, 3 days before the RTO date, Richard sent out another company-wide email, looking forward to seeing everyone back in the office on Monday. It's going to be great to have the team together again. Bradley has done an amazing job preparing the space. See you all bright and early. That night, we finalized our resignation letters. We'd worked on them together, crafting a message that was professional but clear. We weren't angry. We weren't emotional. We were just stating facts. The letter read, Dear Richard and Bradley, I am writing to inform you of my resignation from Velocity Tech Solutions, effective immediately. This decision is a direct result of the return to office mandate announced on March 21st. I have been a productive, engaged, and successful remote employee for the past 3 years. The mandate to relocate to San Francisco with 3 weeks' notice and minimal relocation assistance is not feasible given my personal circumstances, financial situation, and family obligations. I want to be clear that this resignation is not a reflection of my feelings about the work, the team, or the company's mission. I have greatly enjoyed my time at Velocity and am proud of what we've accomplished together. However, I cannot accept a policy that disregards the lives, families, and well-being of employees in favor of an arbitrary preference for in-office work that is not supported by our productivity data or business outcomes. I have spent the past 3 weeks documenting all of my current projects, processes, and institutional knowledge. You will find comprehensive handoff documentation in shared folder location. I am available for questions during a brief transition period if needed. I wish Velocity Tech Solutions success in the future. Sincerely. Name. Simple. Professional. Clear. We scheduled our resignation emails to send at exactly 9 a.m. Pacific Time on April 15th. We set up a private video call for 8:55 a.m. so we could all be together when it happened. We wanted to see each other's faces. We wanted to know we weren't alone. April 15th arrived. I woke up at 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. I made coffee. I sat at my home office desk, the desk I'd set up 3 years ago, the desk where I'd done some of the best work of my career. I logged into the private video call at 8:55 a.m. Pacific. One by one, faces appeared on my screen. 38 faces. My colleagues. My friends. People I'd worked alongside for years. People I'd shipped products with, debugged critical systems with, celebrated victories with. Everyone ready? Priya asked. 38 people nodded. Resignation emails are scheduled to send in 3 minutes, she said. Last chance to back out if anyone's having second thoughts. No one moved. Okay then, she said quietly. It's been an honor working with all of you. We watched the clock. 8:58, 8:59, 9 o'clock. 38 resignation emails sent simultaneously. For about 30 seconds, nothing happened. We just sat there, watching each other's faces, feeling the weight of what we'd just done. Then my phone started ringing. Then everyone's phones started ringing. Slack messages flooding in. Emails from managers, from HR, from Richard, from Bradley. Bradley Sutton. What is happening? Bradley Sutton. Is this a joke? Bradley Sutton. Someone call me now. Richard Sutton. Emergency leadership meeting in 10 minutes. HR, please do not make any hasty decisions. Let's talk about this. We ignored them all. We just sat on our video call, watching the chaos unfold. At 9:17 a.m., Bradley called into our private channel. We'd forgotten to remove him from it. His face appeared on screen, red, furious, panicked. What the hell is this? He shouted. You can't all quit. You can't just, you're sabotaging the company. We're not sabotaging anything, Priya said calmly. We're resigning. That's our right. You coordinated this. This is conspiracy. This is 38 people making individual decisions based on a policy that doesn't work for our lives, Jessica said. You forced us to choose between our jobs and our families. We chose our families. You're destroying everything, Bradley yelled. Do you have any idea what this does to our projects? Our timelines? Our commitments to clients? Yes, I said. We do. That's why we spent 3 weeks documenting everything. All the handoff materials are in the shared drive. Everything you need to continue the projects is there. You can't just. He was sputtering now, his face getting redder. My father is going to, you're all going to regret this. Maybe, Keisha said. But at least we'll regret it from our homes, with our families, in cities we can afford to live in. Bradley's face disappeared from the screen. He'd hung up. We sat in silence for a moment. Well, Devin said finally. That went well. We all started laughing. Not happy laughter. Not celebratory laughter. Just the kind of slightly hysterical laughter that comes from doing something terrifying and irreversible and necessary. The next few hours were chaos. Richard called an emergency all-hands meeting. Only 9 people from engineering and product development showed up, the 9 who hadn't resigned. The rest of the company's sales, marketing, customer success, finance were there, confused and panicked. We've experienced an unfortunate situation this morning, Richard said, his voice tight and controlled. A number of employees in our engineering division have chosen to resign. We're working to understand what happened and how we can move forward. What do you mean, a number? Someone from sales asked. How many people quit? Silence. 38, Richard said finally. 38 people from engineering and product development. Gasps. Shocked faces. Someone said, "Oh my God," loud enough to be heard over the video call. This is a coordinated attack on the company, Bradley said. He looked like he hadn't slept. His hair was messy, his eyes were red. These people conspired to sabotage our operations. We're exploring legal options. Legal options for what? Someone asked. People are allowed to quit. Not like this, Bradley snapped. Not all at once. Not in a coordinated effort to damage the company. Maybe you should have thought about that before you forced everyone to move to San Francisco with 3 weeks' notice, someone said. I didn't recognize the voice, but I heard it through the recording that one of the remaining engineers sent to our private channel later. This meeting is over, Richard said abruptly. We'll provide updates as we have them. Over the next few days, the full scope of the damage became clear. Velocity Tech Solutions had lost 80% of its engineering capacity overnight. The 9 remaining engineers couldn't possibly handle the workload. Projects ground to a halt. Client commitments couldn't be met. Deadlines were missed. Bradley tried to hire replacements. He posted job listings for 38 positions. He offered signing bonuses. He reached out to recruiters. But word had spread in the tech community. People knew what had happened. They knew about the forced RTO mandate. They knew about the mass resignation. And they didn't want to work for a company that treated employees that way. Within 2 weeks, 3 of the remaining 9 engineers quit. They'd stayed initially out of loyalty or fear, but watching Bradley try to manage operations alone, watching him fail, watching him panic, watching him blame everyone but himself, convinced them to leave. Within a month, 2 major clients terminated their contracts, citing missed deadlines and declining service quality. That represented $4.2 million in annual recurring revenue. Gone. Within 6 weeks, Velocity Tech Solutions announced it was restructuring its engineering division. Bradley Sutton was transitioning to an advisory role. In corporate speak, that meant he was being quietly pushed aside, given a meaningless title to save face while someone else tried to clean up the mess he'd created. Within 3 months, Richard Sutton announced he was stepping down as CEO. The board brought in an outside executive to try to salvage what was left of the company. As for the 38 of us who quit, we landed on our feet. Within a month, 35 of us had new jobs. All remote. All with companies that valued work-life balance and trusted their employees. Many of us got significant raises. Turns out that experienced engineers who can work remotely are in high demand. Priya joined a fintech startup in Austin. Fully remote. 20% raise. Equity package. Jessica went to a major tech company that had committed to permanent remote work. 30% raise. Better benefits. Actual work-life balance. Keisha joined a remote-first consulting firm. 25% raise, flexible hours, unlimited PTO. Devon started her own consulting business, working with multiple clients on her own terms. Sarah joined a company that specifically recruited parents and offered flexible schedules. Same pay, but infinitely better quality of life. I joined a remote-first company building developer tools. 35% raise, equity, and a team that actually values the work I do instead of where I do it from. We stayed in touch. We created a Slack workspace for all 38 of us, a place to share job opportunities, celebrate wins, and remember what we'd done together. About 6 months after the mass resignation, Priya posted a message in that Slack workspace, just got a LinkedIn message from a recruiter. Velocity Tech Solutions is hiring for 40 engineering positions, offering competitive compensation and flexible work arrangements. Guess they learned their lesson. Too late, Jessica replied. We've all moved on to better things. And we had. I think about that day a lot. April 15th. The day 38 people decided that their lives mattered more than a job. The day we chose our families, our homes, our autonomy over a company that didn't value any of those things. People ask me if I regret it. If I regret walking away from a job I loved, a team I'd built, 6 years of my career. I don't. Not for a second. Because here's what I learned. Companies will always prioritize their own interests over yours. They'll talk about family and culture and values, but when it comes down to it, they'll sacrifice your well-being for their convenience. They'll uproot your life to satisfy someone's ego. They'll disregard your productivity, your results, your contributions if it doesn't fit their preferred narrative. And when that happens, you have a choice. You can accept it. You can let them control your life, your location, your future. You can sacrifice your family, your home, your happiness for a company that sees you as a replaceable resource. Or you can walk away. We walked away. 38 of us. All at once. All together. And you know what? The company collapsed. The projects failed. The clients left. The nepotism hire who caused it all was quietly pushed aside. The CEO who enabled him stepped down. Meanwhile, we're all thriving. Better jobs. Better pay. Better work-life balance. Better companies that actually value remote work and trust their employees. Bradley Sutton tried to prove his worth by forcing everyone back to the office. Instead, he proved that nepotism and incompetence are a toxic combination. He proved that you can't build a successful company by disregarding the lives and needs of your employees. He proved that ego and control are poor substitutes for actual leadership. And we proved that employees have power. Real power. The power to say no. The power to walk away. The power to make companies face the consequences of their decisions. If you've ever been forced to choose between your job and your life, if you've ever been told that your family, your home, your well-being don't matter as much as someone's arbitrary preference, I hope this story gives you something. Maybe it's courage. Maybe it's validation. Maybe it's just the knowledge that you're not alone and that you have more power than you think. And if you found value in this story, please like and subscribe for more real stories about workplace politics, corporate dysfunction, and what happens when employees fight back. I post news stories every week about the reality of corporate life, the good, the bad, and the battles we fight to protect our autonomy and our dignity. Remember, your life matters more than any job. Your family matters more than any company. Your well-being matters more than any executive's ego. And if a company can't see that, if they can't value that, then they don't deserve you. You always have the power to walk away. And sometimes, walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.